All right, here we are at the bus. A couple weeks later than I would have liked, but as of today, like a minute ago, all of the framing is done. Huzzah! So, I made some design decisions that I will go over here real quick as I show you what I did. Yeah, like I said, it's all done. It's all in. Everything. All the front pieces either come flush to the privacy wall or look past it. So that's cool. There is some jank, of course. So for the mid zenith framing, I tried to align the first layer towards that side of the bus. So like that one, you can see is flush with the rib, for lack of a better term. That one is not, because I kind of forgot. It's fine, not a big deal, but that's a thing. Okay, so you might also notice that there's a planned window delete here that wasn't there the last time I talked about this, and you can tell that because, well, I did it in a not sensible way, whatever. That's because for the privacy wall to exist, it needs to have not a gap. So this window needs to go. So this window is getting deleted. Goodbye, window. Then let's talk about the angle framing. So what happened here, yes, there's a gap, is basically I ran out of materials. And I do not have a vehicle that can transport a 4x8 sheet of half-inch plywood. So I kind of just decided that there could be gaps for that one. So it's not a big deal, I don't think. You'll also notice that it is only one layer deep as opposed to everywhere else, which is two. That's because I tried out having two layers, and it just came out way too much. Like that feels good. Like I think the way that is fine. Like, try to get in there more. Right, like that looks good. That looks sensible. I think that maintains the angle. Whereas if it came out another bit, like, that'd just be too much. The other advantage of having just one layer there is that once all the spray foam is in, I won't necessarily know where the ribs are, or, more, I mean, obviously I'll know most of them, or some of them at least. But for like places where the windows are deleted, there's no clear indication of where the ribs are. But because the angle framing is just one layer and screwed into the ribs, I will know where all the ribs are, at least until this gets covered up. And some of this wood is kind of crappy, but whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, it's all in. And let me tell you, drilling straight up sucked a lot. It was terrible, and I'm glad it's done. Yeah. So, the framing does cover parts of the bus that I don't plan on, turning into actual living space, so like the garage and such. That's fine. I don't know if I'm going to do spray. I mean, I probably will do spray foam there, just for kicks. But, it spans the entirety of the back of the bus. It doesn't do the cockpit, obviously, all the way. But so the next thing to do, these wheel wells are not done. I knew that the moment I did them, 2 months ago now, that this was not a permanent solution, and it is not good. So I'm going to tackle that next. The next big thing, obviously, is going to be electrical. So that needs to get sorted. So I need to actually plan the layout and figure out, what gauge of wires and whatnot is going places. I don't know what I'm going to do with the existing electrical. I'm not using it. I think I've stated that. But I don't know if how I want to get rid of it, if I even want to bother. I mean, the only issue is that it might not, get embedded fully in the spray foam, which would suck. So, yeah, we'll deal with that. Let's see. So, speaking of electrical, I've been looking at batteries, and I think I'm just going to go at the start with 4 300 amp hour batteries. hopefully that'll be enough. I've also been looking at, solar power calculators and whatnot, and I don't think I have enough to power everything. Like, I don't have enough generation to cover it. So I'll need to look at that and figure out if I need, more solar panels than the 8 I have planned. Which is fine, but, it's another thing that I got to worry about. Another thing that I got to do is I need to finish securely connecting the gutters to the bus. That's a thing that needs to happen. The starboard is okay. I'd like to strengthen it up in a few spots, but it seems to be on there pretty good. Port, on the other hand, is not okay. Port is not well attached. And I'm thinking maybe some of the things I learned about fasteners and whatnot from doing the framing will help in attaching it securely. I also need, speaking of that, need to work on the plumbing at some point. I need to get the diverter pipes in and get all that configured and whatnot. So let's see, it's start of April. So you can probably have the electrical done 2 or 3 weeks, I think. At this point, we should all know that I am terrible at estimating how long things are going to take. So, it'll probably be into May before that's done. But it can't be. I mean, it's got to be easier than putting all this in. Like, this was painful. And that's just, running wires and stuff, and securing them in place. That feels like that should go pretty quick. Obviously, I got to install outlets. I also got to consider things like, where the shore power plug is going to be. I've got some plans for some external stuff, specifically gutter warmers, to ensure that, even in winter, I've still got access to water. And those need to have power somehow, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do that yet. But that's a thing I'm thinking about and pondering when pondering the electrical system. Let's see. So yeah, electrical. The plumbing has to be done before I move into the bus. Obviously, because right now, if it rains, not so good. So at least the diversion lines have to be in, and the connections for that set up. Because then at least I can, divert the water, right? Because otherwise I'm flooding here and that would suck. But yeah, so order of ops probably is do the wheel wells properly, do the electrical, do the plumbing, including the gutters, obviously, right? And then after that, spray foam. So that'll probably take us into June, at least. I know there's at least one company here in town that does spray foam. I assume they will come out here because the bus doesn't move right now, so that's cool. But yeah, and hopefully that's not too crazy expensive. It probably will be. But I'm not doing it myself. And yeah, because I'll screw it up. Oh, yeah, look at that framing, yeah, that's good stuff. Let's see, did anything else change from when I was talking about doing the framing last time? I don't think so. I think really this window is just the only thing that got changed. Like, the overall plan is still, I think I talked about the bathroom and the half window that I'm leaving over there, and everything else is getting deleted. But yeah, I suppose I can talk about some of my failures. So one thing I did on starboard side was I measured this one, and that was good. And then I assumed the distance to the next one would be the same, except that I subtracted off 1.5 inches because, this one goes all the way on that one, and I didn't want the next stretch to go all the way onto its next one. So there wound up being gaps, and that's because, one, I didn't plan properly and failed to measure stuff. It's important. Yeah. This one's okay because I actually measured it. Haha, imagine that. But yeah. Oh, other thing I'm going to do, obviously, is clean, because this floor is full of crap from having to scrape out spray foam and, you know, wood and metal dust from the screws and the plywood and whatnot. So it's just a mess in here. I mean, I got around crap too, but yeah. So yeah, that's coming along. So next video I will probably do either in the middle of electrical, just to talk about like what I'm doing and such. Might do one after the wheel wells are done, because I probably need to talk about that and how I'm handling that, because that's kind of important. But yeah, so maybe after wheel wells, definitely either during or after electrical, and probably not going to do anything, talk about the plumbing much, because that comes later. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of plumbing stuff coming later, so I can talk about it then. So, you know, won't talk about gutter stuff if I do stuff with that. But yeah, and definitely after the spray foam's in. So, yeah, that's a bus.